got a Fox News alert right now. Fox News has just confirmed that President Obama has received detailed and specific intelligence about the rise of ISIS in his presidential daily briefing for at least a year before ISIS took large swaths of territory this June. So it wasn't a surprise. He knew all about it. This just hours after British Prime Minister David Cameron took aggressive steps to address a potential terror threat from ISIS. He's allowing police to seize the passports of suspicious travelers.
Passports are not an automatic right. The Home Secretary already has the discretion to issue, revoke and refuse passports under the royal prerogative if there is reason to believe that people are planning to take part in terrorist-related activity.
David Cameron, a man of action. His move in stark contrast to our president's announcement last Thursday, admitting that the president and the United States really doesn't have a strategy to combat ISIS. Should we be taking similar steps to stop radicalized citizens from entering our country? Fox News legal analyst Peter Johnson Jr.
Good morning.
Thinking about this.
Stephen, this is going to become a huge, huge problem going forward. Let's look at the UK anti-terror plan. They say they have the power to confiscate the passport of people who are suspected of terrorism. They want to block British terrorists from returning to the United Kingdom, and they want the ability to relocate the suspects. Here in the United States, Steve, we do have that same issue. There are about 100 U.S. citizens who have been identified or have traveled or tried to travel to Syria to join the conflict there. For example, Troy Castigar was killed fighting for al-Shabaab in Somalia in 2009. Douglas McCain and Abdirahman Mohammed were killed this month fighting Syria. So we see people from Minneapolis, from New York, from Los Angeles, from Florida, traveling to Syria to fight with ISIS.
Sure, and so, you know, on the heels of the fact that it looks like the guy who beheaded that Jim Foley was a citizen and a subject of the United Kingdom, so David Cameron is stepping up. We know, the Washington Times said today that there are 300 American passport holders that the U.S. government is tracking who are fighting for ISIS.
That's 3,000, perhaps. You know, we're talking about who's who on the terror watch list, and that's become a problem, as you talk about it, Steve, in terms of gangster rap meeting Islamic Jihad. Here, there are approximately 420,000 individuals on the watch list. About 98% are non-U.S. citizens. Now, how do we stop suspected American terrorists? Well, there's something called a no-fly list. There's approximately 16,000 people on that no-fly list. Less than 500 are U.S. citizens, and U.S. airlines, this is important, can refuse to transport someone. Airlines are required to submit their manifest to the FAA to exclude those passengers. So we are not taking passports away here in the United States at this point, but effectively, we have the right to say, you can't get on the plane and come from the United Arab Emirates to New York. You can't get on the plane and fly to the Mideast, where your final destination is to fight with Syria. The issue becomes, what do we do effectively to stop American terrorists from returning to our homeland after fighting in Syria with ISIS, when they have proclaimed that they want to raise a black flag in the White House? Cameron says, take their passports away, relocate them. I believe that we need to do something similar to that, at the same time protecting the civil rights of Americans. We need to figure out an administrative procedure, Steve, by which we say, no, we're not going to make this easy for you. We're not going to bring you back into the country and allow you to blow up a mall, to allow you to go to the soft targets that you were talking about with your guest earlier in this show. How do we balance civil rights with the need to protect the homeland? That will be the balance going forward. But when an administration says it has no strategy to fight ISIS, and people are in a dither, and people are in a panic, and we've got coloring books to educate our children about ISIS, but no government program to stop them, there needs to be a robust, effective program to stop these folks at our borders, especially when they are Americans. We don't want government enemy lists. We don't want hate lists. We don't want political, watch lists. But we do want to stop the people who are trying to kill us, even if they're Americans.
The president doesn't have a plan, but Peter Johnson does.
Let's work at it.
Let's hope somebody in the White House is watching. Peter, thank you very much.